Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News and of the Bachelor Rush Hour podcast. Well, it turns out, sadly, I melted Kaitlyn Bristowe's brain. That's right. I was on her very successful podcast, Off the Vine, which aired today. We filmed this episode March 1st of 2024. A lot has changed since then, so stick around. The story that I went on her podcast to tell in a two-part series, a 2.5-hour-long conversation, has updates, which I'll get to some of those now, and then some of those you can check on the twice-daily Bachelor Rush Hour podcast. So Kaitlyn said this is sick, and not being having me in her podcast studio, but what was sick was the story I came to share, that being of Clayton Echard's paternity scandal and his victimhood of this con perpetuated against not only him, but it appears to be multiple other men. And in maybe one case, a woman. Now, there's no con against a woman, just emotional destruction. But that's kind of the wake that she leaves when she's in this no-wake zone, is a boat full of drama. And she's rocking the ships. All right, you like that pun? So I'm going to get into a few of my thoughts having gone on her podcast. Kaitlyn's a peach. She's a peach. She's everything you want in somebody. She's honest. She wears her emotions on her sleeve. And she's going to tell you how she feels about things, which in some cases can lead to someone being an a-hole when I just want to tell people how I feel. No, she's not. She's a diva. She'll probably admit to that, but in the best way possible. She's the empire of the Spade and Sparrow, wine fortune. You know what I mean? She's doing big things out there. I think her podcast is ranked 310 in the world. So to go on her show and have the chance to share this very delicate, very serious story with using whatever tools I can to illustrate that story, I wasn't going to let this chance go without giving it everything I had. And I know that might sound, everything you have, what are you talking about? I'm talking about timelines, events, as much hard evidence, quotes, because I knew that the lady who doesn't want this story being told has tried everything she can to silence me and to silence other podcasters who may listen to the truth as it surfaces. Do me a solid. If you enjoy what I do, follow me on Instagram. I got a stand-up show March 28th in Phoenix, April 14th in Nashville. If you want to catch one of those shows, the Phoenix show is selling. It's doing well. Over 100 tickets sold so far. So if you want to come to that show, it's on the Thursday after the Bachelor finale. And we'll have a meet and greet after. Clayton Echard will be doing a live Q&A. It's going to be a ton of fun. And every afternoon and morning, Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. So Kaitlyn, like every other podcaster, received this threat from Jane Doe. Everybody received this that was thinking of covering this saga. I'll go to the last paragraph. I will answer any questions you have and offer you the same medical release I offered Dave for my prior and current medical records if you believe I am faking being pregnant or that I have in the past. My mental health has been destroyed by Dave and Reality Steve since they have ignored the truth. If I am not offered that opportunity and you decide to cover the story, will just be cover the story with just Dave's point of view, my intent is to sue for defamation. I'd be extremely appreciative if you would not cover the topic at all, and that if you do, you allow me to give my side of the story. Of course, her side of the story has never been told fully because she doesn't have a side that makes her look good. Her side is, so far, proving zero medical records indicating she was pregnant. Of course, these records have been summoned by the judge. They don't exist. So I can understand anyone else seeing this letter. They might say, oh my gosh, I don't want to get into that hot water Dave got into. I understand that. But I do want to credit Kaitlyn. She had made efforts to get Clayton on her podcast. Of course, you know which podcast he did. I don't blame him. He just decided he would go talk to someone else. The reason why I think Kaitlyn is one of the best, if not the perfect person to talk to here, is her facial reactions to this story are amazing. She's so intuitive in the questions she asks me throughout the conversation. Like, she knew I had all of the answers right there, and she let me tell the story in the best timeline that I saw fit, adding color commentary as in the reactions of a Bachelor fan and a Bachelor influencer that she is, and knowing kind of the ins and outs of not just the Bachelor world, but the dating world, and for her to start to look at some of this and piece it together as I was explaining to her, it's almost like if you're watching a magician do a magic trick, it's almost more interesting to watch the audience jaw drop than the actual magic trick. The magic trick here being how she got away with this for so long, and the audience being, of course, Kaitlyn's beautiful reactions. I'm just going to play a few clips. I haven't watched this back yet, but let's have a listen. Fake. So she says she went to Planned Parenthood, which confirms that she had an ultrasound that was consistent with the conception date of May 20. She never shares actually any proof of this. So she's so good at showing people she's got the bullets, but there are no bullets.
Right.
Just like she says, I will go on your show and tell you my side if you have. No, she'll never do that. And every attempt people have made to actually get her to share her side, it's always some neurologist report or whatever. It's never any actual evidence.
So she's claiming she did that, but then she has zero proof of it.
Yeah. So much so that she says there was a gestational sac, meaning a viable pregnancy, and that I refused to view the ultrasound and take the abortion pills at the clinic. They don't typically allow you to take them home, but since I live out of state and was as conflicted as I was, they allowed me to. So now she's claiming, I got the pills on me. So she's extending the deadline to date her because he wasn't playing ball with the initial abortion deadline.
Oh my gosh, this is so sick. Okay.
It's only beginning.
I know.
I love it. 42 minutes in, I go to Kaitlyn. It's only the beginning, you know? The ability, and again, Kaitlyn, she's been so kind to our community, and I'm so grateful for everyone who has left kind comments on her video. You have to watch the full video in its entirety. Hit the like button 1 time or 3, an odd number, some say, and then leave a comment. That'll let the algorithm know there's a lot of business going on this Off the Vine video, and we need to check it out. Now, you might say, Dave, why do I care so much about getting the word out? I don't make any money by Kaitlyn sharing this on her platform because I'm continually being threatened with lawsuits by her. So you have to understand, I need the truth to surface to the extent which her little garden hose isn't going to put out this fire. Okay, because her garden hose, when a little fire pops up here and there, boop, 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 she puts it out with these cease and desist and these $5 legal things and this and that. Her 13 lawyers that have railroaded through her like she's on spring break here. And I've said, no. We're going to share this with as many people as possible. And she said, well, you just want all this fame and fortune. Yeah, of course. I really wanted my career to be made after, exposing some con by some horse girl. Yeah, this is really what I wanted.
So she extends... This is just bizarre. Okay.
And she actually shares how she's weaponizing this in this email. And it's a long email. I'm only sharing the good parts.
To Clayton's dad.
Yes.
Jesus.
Prayers to Clayton's dad.
Oh.
And I don't think he responded. I think at this point, maybe he knew. I'm not sure. Now that we know we have a viable pregnancy, things seem all the more urgent. I'll continue to say until I'm blue in the face, I love Clayton, blah, blah, blah. It was explained to me at Planned Parenthood that medication abortions are most successful early on in the pregnancy, and that as weeks go on, they become less effective. So she's using time now. Every movie, the bomb's ticking. Every movie, every hard sale, better buy by end of President's Day. It's always time, right? Because it stops your rational thinking.
Yep.
You start to panic. Mm-hmm. Well, we got to do this. We don't have time. We better go to Iceland or whatever, right? Yeah. Maybe she has some deal in Iceland. It's like, oh, good to see you again, Jane. She says, I only mention this because once the prenatal paternity test is taken, it's a done deal. So she mentions that a prenatal paternity test, because Clayton says, I want to know if I'm the father.
Right.
And she says, well, that's going to take 7 to 10 days to get back. And if we don't do this abortion now, in 7 to 10 days, I'm no longer going to want to do it. So she literally says this. She says, my preference has been to have the baby all along, so that's obviously not an issue for me. But if it's Clayton, he needs to know that. I haven't lied, and she goes back and forth saying basically, all right, we'll take the prenatal test. That was her way of saying, trying to convince him not to want to take it, saying, we'll take it, but by that time, it's too late. I'm having the kid.
Yeah. And so what did Clayton do in that situation when his dad gets the email, she's saying all this stuff? What is his response?
Love it. So she just, Kaitlyn, and again, I know what you're thinking. Dave, quit interrupting, play the video. You got to go watch the full video. I mean, this video, this podcast, audio, whatever, I always preference the video just because I share some physical evidence here. But she's just, Kaitlyn's, she's in her element here. Kaitlyn would be a great true crime podcast, if that's what she wanted to do, because she's very intuitive. Well, then why didn't he say this? Well, we'll get to that. And it played perfectly to her strong suits. So here's the moment that I got a video from Jane Doe, or received a video that was claiming to be her and her father touching her belly. And him and I get an email sent from Jane Doe, Reality Steve, saying, hey, you keep on claiming you want proof. Here's proof. And it's a video of her belly clearly pregnant from neck down. And it's her dad in the hospital rubbing the belly. Her dad's, is very sick now. And we're looking at this going, oh boy, what's this? Well, when you open the video on your phone, it's neck down. But when you open the video on your desktop, it's nose down. And you see that it's just not her.
Oh my God.
Her sister had a baby June of 2022. So it's a video where she's showing her dad, who's dying of a serious disease.
This lady scares me.
And if I'm her sister, and her sister hasn't come out, and I'm not pressuring her to, because
have you reached out to her sister?
I have not, because I've been sued.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to reach out to family.
Sure.
I know other people have, in one way or another, reached out to the sister. She moved across the country. She could be the only sane one, for all we know. She could be the older, pretty sister who, at this point,
Right.
Jane's pretending to be her to stay in her apartment. What we do know is every time when Jane lived in San Francisco before Arizona, she would call the cops on everybody. Someone moves in and forgets to close the door because they're, moving in, so they prop the door open, call the police. We have what I believe to be like smoking gun evidence of her and her mom completely fabricating an assault claim to the police. Which I haven't shared that. That's a completely different story. I'm not prepared to share for many reasons, not involving me. But it's another example of how wild the lengths some people will go to win and to ruin others. But that evidence is available in the very small chance I was actually sued. I just show the evidence, and I would then subpoena the people to say, look, I've got all this information. I've got this chamber of physical evidence, weapons proving I'm not lying, that I don't want to share publicly, because those that have the evidence fear, for their own reasons, retribution and things like that. Now, we do get into it. There is a different victim that existed from 2014. I don't know if we covered that in this video. He doesn't want to be a part of this, and we have to respect that, as much as I'd like to share his information to help sort of further the story, that this is an ongoing sort of thing she does, because, if you can prove a pattern, you can prove that, all right, this is just what somebody does. And when you look at it, my goal in telling this story to Kaitlyn, it was just to say, look, as crazy as this all sounds, if I had someone's time, if I had 3 minutes of someone's time, I would sound like the crazy person here. This is a 3-hour story, minimum. I've done this in an hour. I could give you the spark notes in 25 minutes. But I've tried to explain this story to people that I've met here in Nashville, and I'm like, oh, you probably think I'm the crazy one right now, don't you? And I understand that, because it does involve lots of different elements to it. I'll share one more clip with you, but of course I know you guys are going to go watch the whole thing. People are uprising. They're demanding Kaitlyn to release part 2 today. They can't wait till Thursday. My guess is the Thursday episode is going to have a very fast and aggressive click-through rate. Just remember, don't click too hard that you break your keyboards, folks. Go kind. Your keyboards didn't ask for this. Let's just go one more clip where we introduce Chase J. Jones.
October 16th.
Okay.
A press release arrives to me. It's not rare. You get press releases. It's very standard. It's by a man named Chase J. Jones. Chase J. Jones is about to become the most interesting name you've ever heard of. He writes a hit piece called Clayton Echard, The N-Word Fiasco. And then it's subtitled, Clayton Echard's Problem with the N-Word. And of course, you just assume we have video of Clayton Echard saying the N-word, okay? And again, 2 white people, probably not the best place to talk about this.
Of course.
Although I've yet to find someone who thinks this is a problem. It's because Clayton, the dancer queen that we know Clayton to be, was dancing to a trending audio on TikTok where the rapper said the N-word.
Yeah.
And they're claiming in this bogus hit piece that Clayton's got this N-word problem. If you wanted to make these claims, go find about 1 million more popular TikTokers or Instagrammers than Clayton. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's still a relatively small 250,000 whatever.
Right.
Like, there's, you know, go after the D'Amelios or whatever, but don't. But also, like, this is clearly during the height of her slamming and trying to get this across. Who the hell is Chase J. Jones? Well, I respond saying, I'd love to run with your article, but I need to like FaceTime you. I need to know who you are. I'm not I don't need to share who you are. This might be a pseudonym. Maybe you're somebody else, but let's just, and I've had to learn through reality, Steve, to do a little FaceTime with a little government ID. Like, let me just see who you are.
Yeah.
My audience believes me. They don't need to see it, but it needs to be vetted as a journalist through me. No response, crickets. Maybe he responded, but never actually followed through. Chase J. Jones must be so busy because I'm going to share with you multiple attempts to subpoena him, multiple attempts to go through all of this.
Chase J. Jones, a.k.a. Chase J. Doe.
Yeah.
Well, trying to make it like
I'm not going to provide you smoking guns, but they are warm. Okay, so they are warm, and people can, and I hate to say, do your own research. I've done it all, and this is as far as we get. And the research goes to virtual P.O. boxes. So we go, okay, all right, let's just.
All right, so then we go in and, of course, connect all the dots you guys have already seen. With regards to the aspect of Jane Doe's sister, now that it's come out that Jane Doe has mentioned she has sent photos to her sister of these quote-unquote unborn babies, it would not surprise me if the lawyers of Clayton's side tried to subpoena her to officially respond. She has not responded. And again, you wouldn't want to drag some innocent person into something, but this is just how it gets. It's like, don't get mad at Clayton's lawyers if they drag her into this court case. Get mad at Jane Doe for perpetuating this complete lie, this con. But again, thank you so much to everyone who is supporting Kaitlynn's channel. I know she's the much bigger channel, but it's important for us to continue to flex how loyal and sort of powerful the traffic is, not just within my audience, but also the case following the Justice for Clayton community. It's important to know that so that there will be follow-up videos. I mean, if Kaitlynn's video takes off on YouTube, my guess is there'll be some big follow-up videos. So we'll have more on that, but this is the end of part 1, and Thursday will be part 2. I'll be live on Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal, noon today, if you guys want to check that out. And also all of the updates for this content can be available. I gave them to the podcast this morning. It says I did Kaitlyn Bristowe's Off the Vine podcast, and you can go check all the updates from March 1st, the motion to compel, all the new evidence that came up. That's all there if you haven't been caught up already. I'll be back with more content right after this.